Okay, hi everybody. This is Vicky Sandville with LG, Director of Corporate and Public Sector Sales, and we're here with another exciting edition of Integrator Insights. I'm very excited about this conversation that I'm about to have with Mark Pescatore. He is the editor of System Contractor News, and I think it's going to provide a lot of nice insight for us that we're seeing as the industry is ever so dynamic. So, Mark, welcome to Integrator Insights.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Life is good.
Yeah, love it. So, how is it going these days in the industry? From your view, the health of the industry, the dynamics of the industry, we're seeing a lot of moving parts from the integrator piece, lots of interesting challenges, as well as evolutions of technology from OEMs. What are you kind of seeing in the market just from the overall state and health of the industry?
I'm going to say that the pro AV industry is healthy, but they are also being cautious. It is not, it is, looking at international economics, it's not a perfect world out there right now. And they're also being cautious because of employment. It's still hard to find good help these days. So, sure, there's lots going on. There is growth in the market, but it's really not, it's not gangbusters. So everybody's probably being just a little cautious, but optimistic.
Hmm. Well, with that caution, are there certain sectors or verticals that the integrators are gearing more of their focus on right now, especially when you think about the challenges of getting good work and employment out of, on some of these more complicated projects?
I would tell you after the pandemic, and that is very much in the rearview mirror now, live events blew up. But if you're looking at bread and butter, you're talking about corporate AV, and you're still talking about education. Those are the places where there's still a lot of work to be done. And I would say there's always going to be work to be done there.
Do you think, when we look at these kind of sectors from an education point of view, commercial point of view, even the live events or experiential events point of view, how does an integrator who works in all those businesses kind of organize themselves in tackling those things, short term, midterm, but then building the business towards that long term need that we're gearing towards for growth?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I'll just waffle and say, it really depends on the integrator, Vicky. But I mean, the fact is, it really does depend on what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, there are going to be some integrators out there who just want to focus on the live events, and that's great. We are seeing some amazing things happening in arenas. I mean, we've all talked about Sphere now for over a year, and Sphere really is as good as advertised, folks. You really got to get out there and see something. I saw the movie. Other people I know have seen the shows, the actual concerts there, and they blow you away. So there's still lots of things like that going on, but not everybody is going to try and build a Sphere. It doesn't work that way. Some companies are going to sit there and say, what we really need to focus on is the corporate side of AV. That's where we want to have our bread and butter. And to that extent, something else I would bring up is managed services. I don't want to go out on a limb and predict something, but I'm going to predict something. I'm going to go out on a limb and predict something, and that is managed services are going to become arguably the most important part of integrators in the very near future, if it's not already there. What managed services does is gives you a regular paycheck, for lack of a better term. It gives you recurring revenue, and the reason why it does that is because you are there taking care of systems for your clients. Doesn't have to be on site. A lot of it is off site now. That's growing by leaps and bounds as well. But just taking care of your customers, it's not just a set it and forget it world anymore, Vicky. You got to have someone there to make sure everything is working properly. I mean, you've got AV stuff working with IT stuff. It all has to work together. It all has to play nice. And to monitor that is very, very important.
Mm-hmm. So that's a really interesting point, and we're seeing that trend as well. We're seeing as environments get more complicated, command and control environments, collegiate stadium environments. You have specialists not only for the integration piece but the services piece. What we're also seeing with that, though, is some new entrants to the market that maybe were only doing the service component and building up their capabilities on the integration side. Are you seeing any of that where maybe it was traditionally, a firm on site, maybe just doing the services? Or, I mean, please don't, get upset if I say the word low voltage, but, some like kind of unorthodox folks in here doing those types of services and integration in the future.
I haven't really seen that, but trust me, if they go in and they're successful, someone will buy them.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, let's spin. I think what I want to do is talk about a little bit about hardware in general, because it's of course near and dear to LG's heart.
Of course.
What are you seeing in the space, then probably the net new ways that displays are being used. Like we're working beyond, rectangles right now. I mean, you reference sphere. But it doesn't have to be as sexy as sphere. In a collegiate environment, in a corporate environment, even in a government training environment, are you seeing in your world different, unique ways that displays are being utilized that we never thought that they'd be utilized before?
I don't know if I would call it unique. What I
Mm-hmm.
will say is that there is an explosion of digital menu boards.
Mm.
I mean, when's the last time you went to a fast food restaurant and it wasn't a digital menu board? That is becoming a very, very big sector. And I think it's an important one. I mean, how cool is a digital menu board? The opportunity to upsell right there, easy.
Hmm.
And, oh, we really have a lot of fish sandwiches. Here's an idea. Let's put it up on the board, make it a big special. All of a sudden, you're playing with inventories and you're really pushing your customers toward things you want them to buy.
Hmm.
I think digital menu boards are huge. As far as digital signage goes, there's always somebody who's something new and cool in the digital signage market. You know that. You'll look around and all of a sudden someone's got just an incredible display that wasn't there before. Or now you're having a lot of people updating their scoreboards at schools and things like that, and not just scoreboards, but signage around the whole campus. I mean, if you really want to get to the students, you're going to need digital signage, right? I haven't been on a campus in a while. I visited FAU, Florida Atlantic University, a little while ago, and yeah, they still had a couple of 8.5 by 11s on a couple of boards here and there. But you really want to talk to your students, you're going to need digital signage. So that's one thing. And I think a very cool thing, I'm really hoping LG has one. E-paper. Do you guys have the e-paper displays yet?
No, we do not.
Electronic paper. Well, there are other companies who have introduced these, and I'm sure LG is right around the corner with one. Basically, what e-paper is, it's a digital sign that doesn't need power, or it only needs power when you are changing what is on the screen. It's not dynamic. It's not going to have animation. It's not going to have a rotating bunch of topics to cover, but you can just have an e-paper display. If you have a one simple message you need to send, you can pop it up there and it lasts pretty much until you need to change it. It's pretty
Mm.
amazing.
Yeah, no, and that's super exciting. What I like to see is how each end user, uses technology in a way we never even imagined they were using it. And kind of along those same lines, we've seen emerging technologies, from our LED technology that's really replacing a lot of LCD video walls, but even OEMs, for us, we're in robots, we're in private 5G now, we're in e-charging with displays. We've got EV charging with displays right now, so that we're constantly making sure that the communication across a campus, whether it's collegiate, it's corporate, it's a military facility, you could try to catch the eyeballs, whether it's just for information sharing or safety or just full on collaboration. When we talk about kind of non-traditional AV technologies, like thinking about a display and an EV charger, what types of technology are you seeing out there that integrators are using that you're excited to see deployed in the future?
Well, I will tell you, I am excited about EV chargers. I'm
Hmm.
just going to say that. A couple of years ago, I'll tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I had to buy a new car. It was time, and I knew what I wanted, and this is what I had. But of course, it was pandemic time. They had, 8 cars on the lot, none of them what I wanted, and someone had ordered an EV hybrid. I didn't want an EV. I didn't care about plugging in my car. What's the big deal? And they said, well, you can have this, or you can order a car and maybe it'll show up in 6 months. And I said, EV, here I come. Now, the problem is, depending on where you live, you may not have quite the EV support you may want. I'm down here in South Florida. We don't have a lot of EV chargers yet. No, a buddy of mine from high school, he lives up in Seattle. Everybody's got an EV charger. Everybody's got an electric car. That's what he says. And it's great. So the infrastructure of EV is going to grow as it goes. But I love the idea of EV chargers with these displays because it's another screen. It's another way to get your message out to consumers. And who's got the EV charger, the EV charger cars? The people who might have a little bit more money to spend, a little bit more disposable income. So that's the type of people you can approach with EV chargers. So I'm excited about those, but I'm also excited about AI because we all have to be excited about AI. It's here whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah.
I just did an editorial. Someone I knew made an AI headshot, and I pointed it out, and I noticed it right away. And I went, I'm gonna make an AI headshot. Now I could have spent $40, but I didn't. Instead, I found a program that would allow me to do it myself. The results were interesting. If you want to see them, you can go on avnetwork.com and find my editorial about Meet the New AI Me. It was an interesting exercise. None of them really looked like me quite right, but the fact was, here's some guy who had never done an AI portrait before in his life. And I don't know, I was on there maybe half an hour. And then I found a special button I could import my own picture. And all of a sudden I was making AI portraits of myself. They're weird, but I was able to do it with no training whatsoever. Imagine what AI can do with people in the hands of people who actually know what they're doing.
Right.
So
In a
you can't help but be
responsible way.
excited, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's what's really interesting. I mean, for us, of course, we try to look and see where can we can embed that technology in any of our hardware or our solutions. And what we like to do, and I'm sure integrators as well, is we're beta testing all this stuff with our end users to explore, okay, how could this really work? We're doing this in K through 12 systems right now, and I'm really excited to see between what they're using kind of a beta tool for in our interactive boards, how they're deploying that in the classrooms responsibly, and also making sure it's secure. Well, I mean, as we wrap this up, I think the big thing that everybody wants to know is, what does the M&A landscape look like in this industry in the coming months, next year? Where are we going? Would love your insights on that.
I'll tell you, it's a rocky road out there. It seems every 3 weeks, and I'm being generous there, but every 3 weeks, someone is announcing that they've acquired somebody. Whether it's an integrator incorporating another integrator or another company buying up another company. It wasn't that long ago where partnerships, partnering with another company, like if LG was partnering with somebody, first of all, you wouldn't tell anybody. Oh my goodness, no, you can't have that. And then suddenly it was partnerships are okay. It's just so funny how what a difference a decade makes. If you go to a show floor, if you go to ISE or if you go to Infocom or NAB, people are proudly putting those partners up on the board saying, look, these are the people we are partnering with. I mean, that is such a change in philosophy. But there's also a lot of acquisitions going on. And my whole thing is I just want to make sure that choices aren't that limited. I don't want to see a world with 4 systems integrators and that's it. I don't think anybody wants that. That's just not it's not good for business. Monopolies are monopolies, and I'm certainly not going to go into an economics lesson or a business lesson on that, but sometimes those aren't good for all industries. So I worry about too much acquisition. But I don't think we're in I don't think we have to set off any alerts at this time. But yeah, it's definitely there's definitely a lot of buying up going on, and I don't
Yeah.
see that changing in the next few years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think what we've been seeing, even from the decision maker perspective, where IT and AV are kind of coming together.
Sure.
Plus, then you've got a little bit more of an individualized requirements approach from an end user. It's doesn't look like it's stopping, but at some point, you're still going to need diversity in terms of what services are offered by those integrators. So that'll be interesting as that trend of consolidation of the end user continues as well.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, it's
well,
we gotta it's going to be an interesting few years in the industry, that's for sure.
so I think just to cap this off, what is like kind of your big takeaway for what you're seeing in 2025? What is the one exciting thing that's going to happen while we see all these changes go on? It could be anything you want, pie in the sky.
Well, I'll tell you, it'd be real easy to just say AI.
Hmm.
So I'm going to say AI. But the
Okay.
fact of the matter is it's a buzzword for a reason.
Hmm.
Everyone is talking about it. Everyone's trying to figure out how it's going to help them do their jobs better,
Hmm.
or how it's going to affect their jobs or affect their products and services. You said it yourself. You guys are looking into AI and trying to see how it works. Works for what exactly? You guys have to figure out how can this how can this help me? I read somewhere someone was saying you have to start treating AI like a teammate. It's not a teammate, it's a tool. The question
Hmm.
is, how good of a tool is it going to be for you?
Right. No, and that makes sense. And I think, as we look at it, it's kind of like the 3 years ago we were talking about smart communities, right? And how does AV integrate with all the beacons and the sensors and the monitors? It's almost the same thing. And what we're looking for is, where can you reduce workload, unnecessary workload, and get people back to, paying attention to the student in the classroom or working on that project that really affects that citizen or make a fantastic experiential event indoor outdoor. So we're excited about what's to come with that. But Mark, I mean, really appreciate you joining us here on Integrator Insights. Our community, I know, is going to be really appreciative of everything you have to share, and I'm sure we're going to make sure that we send them your way as well, to check out all the ins and outs that you guys have that you're offering to the integrator community. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Absolutely my pleasure.